He has a 1-1 count. That one's struck high. Left side. That one's going. That's out of here off the wall. You have to be kidding me. Fireworks. Here you go.
Welcome one, welcome all. Week 5. Every single week, it just feels like it's going faster and faster. I can't believe it. Class 2A fans, we appreciate you joining us. Caden Niston joined alongside by Andrew Brown, special edition of High and Tight. Be sure to check out our actual High and Tight. This week's going to be fun. I think we're going to kind of do some mid-season awards, kind of look at nominating some guys for some fun stuff, and we got a lot of fun stuff going on there, trivia, everything. Be sure to check that out. But hey, before we get going, Class 1A and Class 2A, big week. We've got pairings coming out this week. I believe that's the technical term, is pairings, whatever it may be. At some point this week, I don't know a day, it just says this week. So we're gonna know who's gonna face. We won't know who's gonna face who. We'll know the pods that teams will have to run through to get to Carroll and to get to Merchants Park. So that's going to be a ton of fun. We're going to be locked in for coverage all week. So if you're not, follow us on all our social media, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Turn those post notifications on. Don't miss a thing. We're covering anything and everything Iowa high school baseball. So let's get right into it, as I got to drop in this really quick on the fly. There we go. All right, 16 through 11, Class 2A. Let's roll. We got a lot of new teams here. We've got 3 new teams right here, and we've got another new team debuting inside the top 10. So a lot of action here, a lot of new teams, starting with Forest City. They had a big win over Estherville, Lincoln Central. That really vaulted them 6-0 last week. That's going to get you on the map, and that's what it did here, slotting them here at number 15. Clarinda at number 14. If you watched High and Tight last week, Andrew talked about the Cardinals. He talked about how he liked them, how they're a little undervalued. And then our 2A ranker, I don't know if he watches High and Tight or if he just was on the same wavelength. But a 4-1 week for the Cardinals. Creighton Tuzio is top 10 in strikeouts and holds an ERA of 0.89 for Clarinda. So they are finding their groove. And West Lyon, they started the preseason ranked, dropped out of the rankings, and now they're back after a 4-1 week. They hold win over Unity Christian and Sioux Center. Those are their biggest wins of the season. I do got to give a quick shout out as I pull up their team. Unity Christian, I thought maybe they were a little more deserving of a higher bump considering their weekend that they had. They beat Akron Westfield, and they beat Remsen St. Mary's in back-to-back days.
For the second time.
Yeah, back-to-back days. They have a win over Remsen St. Mary's already. So 2 wins over 1A number 1 and a win over current 1A number 2. So Unity Christian, I'm gonna tip my cap to you. Our ranker maybe didn't feel the same way, but this is Andrew and I tipping our cap right now. Unity Christian, they do jump up a spot to number 13, as you can see, 5-2 last week for the Knights. Let's go into the top 10 though, Andrew, where New Hampton up 4 spots. You've liked what they've been doing so far.
Well, I like it in a lot of different ways. You know, one, they've been known for their pitching. What do you got here? A 1.17 ERA. That's the class leader. And what really impresses me here is they really went toe to toe with Waverly Shell Rock. They split that, and they're rocking. They're 3-1 this week. There's not a lot that you can take away that go, man, I don't like about this team. I love this team every which way you go. They're plus 6.5 run differential. They're rocking it, and they got the guys to do so, right? They got a couple guys over 30 hits. Cale Myers, Braden McShane, both seniors rocking it well. Again, 53, 43 total bases respectively for that. I mean, again, you look at it, you got 4 or 5 guys that are over 20 total bases. Their offense is rolling, but I just got done talking about what great pitching they have. And that's truly something. You're already sporting 2 guys over 30 strikeouts. You got 5 guys over 20. I mean, they're really putting it together. And only one in the entire pitching staff has an ER, batting average against, over 2. So that, teams can't hit against them. teams all having a hard time. Yeah, they'll get a few lucky ones here and there, but this is kind of the yin and the yang when it comes together for something big. I like the Chickasaws where they're heading, so I think this is a good spot. Could be higher, but it's definitely a good spot for them.
Talk about a team, Andrew, that had a great week. Northeast, the Rebels, 3-0.
Yes.
3-0, and it included a doubleheader sweep over Anamosa, kind of knocking the Blue Raiders back out of the rankings again, and a win over Davenport North. 4A ranks Davenport North. That's plenty to our rankers' eye, and slotted them at number 10. And lo and behold, I mean, outside of that, they've got a win over Beckman Catholic. They had a split with Beckman Catholic earlier in the year. So this is a team that's quietly building a really good resume, and you look at their stats and you look at Bound, and it's really nothing crazy. I mean, they're hitting 266 as a team, and they got a team ERA of 3.44. I mean, that's nothing that's gonna put you on in the top whatever of 2A. But at the end of the day, that the only thing that matters is that W in the column, and they've been picking those up. I mean, you can't take that away from them. Northeast, they are debuting inside of our Class 2A rankings, as I said, 9-6. They are number 10 right now in 2A, so look out, Northeast making a name for themselves. Let's get into the top 5, though, here, where we've got movement in 4 spots in the top 5. As you can see, Estherville Lincoln Central was in the top 5 last week. They drop out after a 3-1 week and a loss to Forest City. But at number 5 is Beckman Catholic. They dropped 3 spots. It was a rough week for the Trailblazers. 2 losses on their schedule. Again, nothing to really panic about by any means. I mean, this is just a team that slipped a couple times. Those losses coming to Cascade and North Lynn. I mean, Andrew, you're not panicking at all on Beckman Catholic right now.
No, I mean, again, they've had some big wins already. They've been able to do a lot. And so their body of work already sits there with something that you can say, yeah, okay, nothing to worry about. Again, this goes straight in that category. I like what they're doing. They're still hitting the ball fairly well. And Cascade, Northland, those are teams that will push you. I mean, 1-2 hits could have determined North Lynn game, let alone game 2 in the Cascade doubleheader. So, yeah, I think that they've got it. They'll get there. I mean, Coach May is gonna make sure this squad is ready to go every single day of the week. So yeah, they've got 4 dominant wins under their belt, and the way it's coming up, I think they'll ride a couple more into this week. But yeah, I still like them there. Nothing to be worried about.
Yeah, the beneficiary of some teams slipping is Des Moines Christian. They jump up a spot to number 4, 7 straight wins for the Lions. They're solidifying themselves as an absolute contender in this class. They're hitting 331. That's ranked number 6. 5-0 last week. They got a big one coming up against Interstate 35 that you can kind of circle. That's a top 10 matchup here in Class 2A. Des Moines Christian. I mean, the train's moving along right now, Andrew.
Oh, and it's been increasing ever so slightly as you go on. They right now, like you mentioned, they sit top 10 in terms of batting average right now. They also have 226 total bases. But one thing I also want to point out is that there are only 5 teams to sport a walk total of 120 or more. Des Moines Christian is that. They sit in the West Central Activities Conference. That's tough to do there. So they're one of the few teams that sport over 120 walks and over 220 total bases. So what does that tell you? This is a team that can sit on you. This is a team that can attack you early. So that makes it very, very tough. When you don't know which way, you can't tunnel vision it onto one central focus. That's going to be, I mean, you're just playing reactionary baseball. This team, they're playing proactive baseball. They're already knowing they're coming after you. So, Des Moines Christian, they're fun to watch, and they're going to get blasting some stuff. They have 8 home runs. That's one of the top echelon of home runs in the class. And they've got guys like the Andrews brothers who are absolutely rocking it. They're a freshman who I got to see on the mound, can keep teams at bay. So yeah, I like it. This is a team that can go in a long distance game or can end it early. I like where they're at, and I think they're going higher.
Underwood also rises here at number 3. They went up one spot, not two. That graphic is wrong. I apologize. My first mistake. Sorry. But no, a 7-game week for Underwood and the Eagles. They won 6 of them. Their one loss was to Van Meter, and as you can guess, Van Meter is ahead of them a few spots. And in that game, they were down 10-0 halfway through the fourth, and they found a way to
Yes.
claw back. They made that a 10-8 game. You can assume pitching might be kind of hard to come by after a 7-game week for Underwood, but they found a way to win 6 of them. A lot of them in dominant fashion. I mean, that could be a possible Class 2A state title preview, Andrew, that we just saw at the Jim Gebhardt tournament in Sadell. Why do you think it
Yeah.
could be Underwood? Why do you think it could be Underwood? Playing in that Class 2A state title game at the end of the year.
Kind of what we saw from last year. This team has experience, right? They didn't lose hardly anything, and so this team knows what it takes to win. And in the end, I've seen them. I haven't broadcasted the game yet, but man, were they patient? They're just going to sit there and let you walk them. And then what does this team do? They can turn a single, get a stolen base, plop one into the outfield grass, get them to third, or get them home. I mean, in the span of 2 hits, you could have a run, easy. And that team is so efficient in getting there. And they can wear you out to where your bullpen, your depth, you're just going to have to sit and hope that maybe they hit them at you. That is what I like about what this program can do. Van Meter, it kind of put a test to him early, but the comeback that they had in that game, I think it's very impressive. I like, again, overall, it's tough, in a tournament like that. We've seen it ourselves where, you get in there, you're just going to have to rely on the depth, and everybody's depth gets tested on the Saturday tournament. So in the end, if this was met during the week, would we have a different outcome? We possibly could have. So I think that in the end, they got close. They almost took the dub. I think this is a holistic team, probably the most holistic team in the class.
Well, yeah, and they got a stud. I mean, Mr. Louette, he's number 2 in the entire
Yes.
state. Entire state in batting average. He is hitting .619 right now. Whew, that's a big number. Well, if you're wondering, Andrew, where West Marshall is, we haven't seen West Marshall yet. Where's West Marshall? They were number 6 last week. Well, you haven't seen him yet because they jumped up 4 spots and they are now number 2 in Class 2A. They were number 1 in the coaches poll last week. They could be holding that spot again. And I mean, West Marshall, what's not to like? A perfect week, 6-0, and that included a doubleheader win over Linville Sully. That's not easy to do. A win over Pella, 3A ranked Pella, and wins over Nevada and South Hardin and PCM. I mean, this team, it's a buzzsaw at this point. And it's really fun watching this team because we knew what this team was capable of, and we're seeing it right in front of us. That this group that lost hardly nothing, a group that was 1 run away from state last year, is well on its way to likely getting a pretty good draw when these seedings come out. This team is going to be tough to out this time around.
Yeah, they're the only team that rests top 2 in walks, home runs, and RBIs. Only team to do that. Van Meter can't claim that. Des Moines Christian can't claim that. A lot of other teams can't claim that. They're the only team in this class that can claim that mark. And they're, again, slugging near 500. They're one of the top teams with that. It's just at this point, you go into a game thinking, man, how can West Marshall not hurt us the most today? You don't go into it thinking, man, we think we can dominate this game. No, it's about like, how can we limit the damage that we know West Marshall's going to bring? And they make it fun, man. I tell you, they make it fun. And, they also have been hit 47 times. 47 batters have been hit this year. So they're not afraid to wear it. And like I said about Underwood, get one guy on, it can turn into a run within 2 hits. So, well, that's the tough part. But this is a team out of the heart of Iowa who's as fun to watch as any out there.
Well, hanging on at number 1 is Van Meter for what looks like a 3rd straight week for the Bulldogs. 6-0 last week. The staple win over Underwood. Obviously, I mean, this team, they're 4th in ERA in Class 2A, and that's to speak to a tough schedule. They've played up plenty of times. ADM, Gilbert, Creston, Carlisle. This team has played up. They've tested themselves. Winterset. They had a few good tests this week too with Pleasantville and I-35, 2 ranked teams. They took care of them both. They took care of Underwood, took care of Sadell. This team is I mean, if you had to think that someone is the favorite right now, it's Van Meter, Andrew.
Yeah, and I mean, you could go down the line and mention a lot of great studs on this team. I will say, Rhett Plegencool, Austin Baumover are kind of the Bash brothers there, 1 and 2. There is, in fact, there's just one other team here in Class 2A that has 2 in the top 10, or actually 3, I should say, that being West Marshall and New Hampton, as we talked about earlier. So, yeah, this is a team that really, again, it's just there. They've been there. I love Coach Baumover. I love what he brings to the table, man. He is one of the funnest, most interesting guys out there. And he coaches a great team. I love his backstory, and can't wait sometime to get just a glimpse of what his life is like as well. But yeah, I love it. And there's not much else to say other than they keep winning. They keep dominating. And, in the end, they have, I think, tied or at the tie for most dominant wins in Class 2A. In fact, as I look, I think they have the most dominant wins, which I think is categorized by 5 runs or more, but when you win by. So just let that settle in. It's not much else to say, but Van Meter's doing Van Meter things.
Well, yeah, and they get more tests this week. Looks like Waukee, Northwest, and Valley. So you want to step up the competition. They're doing it this week. But yeah, not much left to say in Class 2A. We appreciate everybody for tuning in. Like, share, comment. Do what you got to do. Let us know. We appreciate you for tuning in, Class 2A fans. We'll catch you next Monday.